No basketball story could be more captivating than that of young Caitlin Clark, a prodigal tale that has won the hearts of fans and made her peers, old and seasoned, take notice. Her recent game against Minnesota underscored not just her remarkable skills, but also why it was such a hotly debated decision on coach Cheryl Reeve's part to leave her off the U.S. Olympic team. Caitlin Clark has been the epitome of basketball brilliance, taking her name to brand status and carrying the Indiana Fever on her young, capable, prolific shoulders in a tier that saw them winning against 4 straight teams with winning records. This winning streak set the scene for their game against the Minnesota Lynx, a fixture that held a little more than usual significance. For Clark, it was personal. The very coach who snubbed her from the Olympic team, Cheryl Reeve, now patrolled the opposite sidelines. The game was emotional and highly charged right from the tip-off. Clark's determination to prove her doubters wrong was palpable. The first 3 quarters, however, saw her struggle to find her rhythm. Despite the best efforts, her shots weren't falling, and the Lynx expanded their lead to a big one. Through 3 quarters, Clark had just 7 points, and the Fever trailed 60-53. Yet, as all great athletes do, Clark showed a short-term memory for failure, performing like she can impact a game in so many ways other than just scoring. Like someone had flipped a switch, it was as if when the 4th quarter opened, Clark took over. She went off for 17 points in the final period, making a number of plays to win the game for the Fever. It would be a fine blend of grace and grit, from clutch 3-pointers to hits down the lane for huge assists, key rebounds, and brawny moves that sealed the win.
Caitlin secured the ball on the opening tip. It was pretty evident that the Minnesota crowd was pro-Caitlin. That must have angered Reeve and her Lynx team. The Fever opened a 2019 first-quarter lead before the game went into halftime tied at 38.
Perhaps the most memorable, though, was a dazzling crossover move by Clark that got her past Minnesota's Bridget Carlton for a driving layup that left fans in disbelief. That, and other highlights, are already part of a growing reel that showcases just how versatile Clark is and how great her basketball IQ is. In the final 10 minutes, the Fever outscored the Lynx 28-14 to seal a hard-fought 81-74 win. This was a comeback that spoke to Clark's leadership and the quality of her team's inspiration.
Which is why she was such a winner. Even when her shot isn't falling, she can play make and get her teammates involved or grab boards and control the tempo of the game.
The focus naturally shifted to how coach Cheryl Reeve could have made a case for leaving Clark off the Olympic team. During a pre-game press conference, Reeve was surprisingly dismissive and bordering on downright spiteful when boilerplate media inquiries wondered aloud about the wave of Fever fans. Very little acknowledgement was paid to the overwhelming support heaped upon Clark. That was, of course, indicative of a much more fraught history between the two. The troubling decision was a point of heated contention, following many who blasted the exclusion of such a dynamic player. She cited Clark's decision to not show up for the Olympic camp due to March Madness and her lack of experience as justifications for her exclusion. But that did little to blunt the criticism, as Clark proved to be ready for the international stage through the subsequent performances in the WNBA. Her exclusion thus seemed quite unjustified, much more so because her presence would have been a boost for marketing and viewers for the Olympics. Clark's impact is much further than that, with individual performances. Her regular season debut in front of the Connecticut Sun was the most-watched WNBA game since 2002, and she keeps breaking viewership records every time she plays. She has caused what many describe as the Caitlin Clark effect, much like Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson did for the NBA. With that ability to draw fans in and her extremely exciting playing style, she has been an asset for the league.
Watched WNBA game since 2002 and the most watched ever on ESPN2 or any cable network. On May 18th, her game against the New York Liberty set the league's ABC viewership record with 1.71 million viewers.
And the numbers support that assertion. She was the first rookie to achieve a season of 400 points, 150 assists, and 100 rebounds. She would rank behind only Connecticut's Alyssa Thomas in the WNBA in assists per game and be a double threat in making plays and putting the ball in the hoop, but her playmaking, eventually, could hold the league's assist record if you think long-term enough. For Clark, the road to the WNBA would not be easy. Being such a highly touted prospect, she was under an immense amount of pressure to come in and play lights out immediately. Some of her early struggles in the professional league brought about critique, but she used that adversity as motivation. Clark's performance versus the Lynx was just an example of how she has time and time again been able to rise to the occasion. He has gone up strong defenses, rugged play, and high expectations all season. And each time, Clark answered with class and grit. Her fighting heart is a part of the story of resilience against adversity. It is inspiring to aspiring. From a business point of view, she's a goldmine. In terms of the need to fill stands at games and to bring energy, she's a prime target for endorsement and sponsorship deals. She is the ideal ambassador for brands that target the demographics where Clark can tap into the enthusiasm of her fan base. Her winning matches and off-the-court personality have mixed into making her one of the league's darling athletes to market. Clark has already been instrumental in helping raise the profile and popularity of the WNBA. As the league continues to grow in popularity, the presence of a player of Clark's caliber draws fresh attention, and therefore drags in new sponsors. Her power of influence is only going to skyrocket with her ongoing performance, and this identifies her as one of the most important individuals towards the league's future success. Clark's journey and success inspire the next generation of basketball players as well. Young athletes look up to her as a role model because of the story it makes. It encourages them to pursue their dreams with passion and perseverance. Thus, impacts on youth basketball programs and increased participation rates can be expected. Women's basketball's future is now looking more promising than ever, and part of the reason is the lasting career of Clark. Her accomplishments then represent what can be done with grit and determination, and it is an inspiration to the gazillions of young players out there. As Caitlin Clark makes her debut in the WNBA, so does her legacy. It's what sets her apart from any other player. Record-breaking, fan-drawing, and the notion of inspiration to succeeding athletes. A generational talent who might be one of the greatest players in the history of the WNBA, her competitive drive, skill set, and athleticism are second to none. Hers is a story of the importance of resilience and rising above challenges, but also one of providing the young athlete with a platform to come out and share their best on the largest platforms. The Olympic snub for Clark most definitely had its setbacks, but it seems to be fueling her drive to prove herself and keep on pushing boundaries. Caitlin Clark, that wasn't just a game against the Minnesota Lynx, it was speaking volumes about the ability, hard work, and relentlessness of the lady.
Ellie Gazzardo, the head coach. Her team rallied twice in the Southland Conference Tournament for wins, and that one dead on. Right on the money.
Out said player. And for me, you take Caitlin Clark off the floor. I mean, that just creates so many issues for Iowa.
Tough shot there. Got it to go past Cunningham.
I don't care if you're the first, second, or third.
Continuing to set records and wow audiences in game after game, she seems more and more to be securing her legacy in the WNBA as one of greatness. She is not done, not even close, and everyone looks forward to much more incredible stuff and to some memorable moments from this once-in-a-lifetime talent.
Gets it into Clark. Clark races away, and the mythical mastery.
They're tracking her, every move that she makes.
Clark will loft it up there and swish it in with a three. Such a quick release.
Her influence will carry over to the business side of the league, be an example to younger athletes, and help grow the game internationally. It's proof that with persistence and determination, one can get up and keep moving. Moving forward, Caitlin Clark will surely contribute significantly to the success and growth of the WNBA. But little does one know, her journey is far from being hailed to an end, and so are the moments and performances which this extraordinary talent will leave on all fans. Caitlin Clark doesn't seem to be just a player, but a force of nature. Her legacy will live on for years to come.
WNBA season, to finally retiring after, to say the least, a very successful career. Warnock. Wow. Clark with the terrific pass to Warnock. That's vintage Caitlin Clark. Terrific job by Weta to get down there and seal her off. Sonano, nothing to it from Clark again.
With the season rolling right ahead, all eyes will be on Caitlin Clark. Her ability to lead the Fever and continue playing at this level will be huge for the Fever, if they're going to make a playoff push. Each game is a new challenge, and Clark has shown she is more than up for it. Fan support will still pick up, and media scrutiny of her journey will increase. Every record she breaks, every game-winning shot, every highlight reel play is all set to go down in her growing legend. Anticipation for the next move is what leaves fans and analysts on their toes. The impact of Clark is part of a number of broader trends in women's basketball. All the increased publicity and following of the WNBA show that women's basketball has come of age. With the increased number of fans and attendance at games, the league is actually certain to grow by a lot. This growth is not only in the United States. The global presence of the WNBA is growing, and players such as Clark serve as representatives for the sport around the world. Her play would motivate other young athletes in the world, taking basketball to grow in their countries. The story of Caitlin Clark in the WNBA is surely to be one of victory, talent, and tenacity. What has been known about her in the game against the Minnesota Lynx is what kind of person she is in rising and making sure she gets to another level in her game. She is indeed set to be one of the all-time greats to play in the WNBA with how she is able to shatter record after record and win over fans. Clark's influence goes beyond the actual court and extends to the business aspect of the league, motivating all younger athletes while also expanding the sport in general terms. Such a story will serve as an inspiration beacon, displaying what persistence and going against all odds can always achieve. Caitlin Clark will have a great say in the future success and expansion of the WNBA. Without a doubt, the best is yet to come in her journey, and fans can look forward to many more jaw-dropping performances and some truly unforgettable memories from this freakish talent of a girl. Caitlin Clark is not just a player, she's a force of nature, and that legacy will live on in years to come. The revelation no doubt offers more than insight into the impact of Caitlin Clark on WNBA and delves into implications of her journey. It is a full story. From its point of view, what the story is and means to contemporary culture,